RMMV Oceanic III of the White Star Line, although she would never sail under the White Star Line flag. She would sail under the White Star Cunard Line. The White Star Line had been planning to make a ship to live up to majestic and Olympic standards for years. And yes, the ship would be the largest ship in the world, and White Star Line were going to move forward. The stock market crash and the incidents with kill sand was, as many said, was the ship to be doomed, but very unlikely she would be able to get finished. Although she was. On March 21st, 1937, RMMV Oceanic slid down Ireland slipways and ready for a career that would last decades. The ship was launched under the Cunard White Star Line. Because of how far the project had been before the merger, Cunard decided to go on the White Star Line superliner. With their Queen Mary already finished and having an intense rival, Normandy, Cunard saw this as a great opportunity, and with Queen Elizabeth coming, they would have 3 big superliners all sailing the Transatlantic, but now the fact they were a joint company. The Oceanic was massive and was an absolute insane thing to be fitting out. The ship was 1,080 foot long and more than 80,000 gross registered tons. What was to be. Her aftmost funnel was fitted and her 2 masts before work was halted before it continued up again. Eventually, Oceanic was fully fitted out. Interiors, 3 funnels, 2 masts, hundreds of lifeboats, and she was ready to be steamed up for her sea trials for the very first time. She was to be the largest ship ever constructed in Harland & Wolff, the largest White Star Liner. Everyone was banking on this being the greatest ship the White Star Line would ever introduce. And it would also be the very last time a ship was finished by Harland & Wolff from a White Star Line contract. Then the ship, like countless before her, steamed out for Southampton, where she would start her maiden voyage. New York in late August of 1939. After years of hard work, it had paid off. She was not built for speed, and so passengers enjoyed a luxurious crossing. However, war was on the doorstep for the Oceanic. Before the start of the Second World War, Oceanic completed one voyage to Southampton to New York. Whenever war officially broke out between the United Kingdom and Germany, Oceanic was painted in a dull battleship grey colour to hide her from enemy submarines, and given multiple guns on her forward and aft decks. Speed, it was unlikely that she would need an escort, but there was an odd time where she did. Oceanic would carry thousands of people until early after the war, to this day holding the record for the most amount of people carried by a single ship, that being 17,804. Oceanic was eventually repainted after the war into her White Star Line buff, which was very surprising, and many people thought the ships would be painted with Cunard liveries. Thankfully, this never happened, so the Oceanic would keep her White Star Line buff and would also be the last ship to serve in it. Throughout the early 50s, mid-50s, 60s, and so on, Oceanic enjoyed a happy career with no major incidents except for a collision with a rock in May of 1955. However, things weren't looking good. As the jet took off, Oceanic's passenger numbers dropped, and many people preferred the Cunard Queens over the Oceanic, even though she was bigger, as people now were really looking into speed. And Oceanic was starting to count herself lucky still being around. Her two running mates that were designed for her, the Britannic and the Georgic, were both very depressingly scrapped in 1955 and 60. 1968, Cunard Line, which had since dropped the name White Star, decided Oceanic time was well and truly up. Oceanic was for almost a decade had been the only ship sailing in White Star Line's colours. She, on June 21st, 1968, would sail her final voyage to Jarrow, Scotland, where she would be scrapped. And so ending the tale of the final White Star Liner